there is still a lot of work to do with 20X. The security standards in it are actually a little bit tougher.
100%. It's way more comprehensive. What happens is, typically in the old way, you just have a bevy of information, right, that's going to show up in that ginormous SSP. I mean, we had clients, I've seen SSPs that are over 4,000 pages long. That's insane.
It's insane.
And so it requires tooling, it requires huge teams to manage it, but ultimately the auditors are incentivized to go like, hey, let's look at what AC1 Part A requires. And that is like that. I'm referring to a policy control, and it's like, how are policies communicated? How are they updated? How do you make sure that the right people have access to them? How do you make sure that people have acknowledged that this policy exists? And that particular control, whether it was Rev 4 or Rev 5, repeats like 18 times, right? It didn't really matter. And so that sucks, right? You know, when we don't really do our access policy any different than our change management policy, but what an auditor would look for is like, hey, does this referencing, you know, access control here in this particular solution implementation? You're just like, no, it's just the policies. And so some people would put a stink about that, and so we put tooling to handle that kind of weird thing. And so there's a lot of inefficiencies that get created with the legacy approach. Yes, it's comprehensive, but the problem is it's so hard to actually implement because you're just inundated with all of these different requirements, and you spend time optimizing for the deliverables instead of actually doing security, which is what 20X is trying to flip that on its head.